Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhaled frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
This was a pretty shameful day for Washington.
Well, you have to narrow it down a little bit, Mr. President. Welcome, it's Toker Talk Radio. I'm Radical Russ, steering this ship of imagination through the cosmos of internet radio. I hope you guys have been following that Cosmos series. Neil deGrasse Tyson on Fox, or Nat Geo on Mondays. But, I love the science. I remember being a 12-year-old kid watching Carl Sagan and the Cosmos series, and it just, enthralled me. I was just amazed. And I love what they're doing with it as far as it being it's like an ode to scientific method, right? Yeah, the stuff that they tell you about's cool, but they also tell you why the method we used to determine all that stuff was important, how it evolved. And I'm just loving the show, so hope you're checking that out. We got all sorts of great stories to talk about here on Toker Talk Radio today. There was a case where some men, young men, unfortunately, didn't know much better, were arrested with pot in a Scooby Doo lunchbox in South Carolina. Yeah, it's a shame, Scoob. I know. They got your weed. There's a post in the Christian Post of all places where a Reverend Creech, not Cheech, Reverend Creech, I thought it said Cheech at first, but Reverend Creech got himself a copy of Kevin Sabet's Reefer Sanity book and believed it hook, line, and sinker. So we're going to take some time to debunk a little bit of that in a post he calls Legality of Tobacco and Alcohol is No Case for Legal Pot. Hey, it's the 25th anniversary of The More You Know, just for trivia's sake. Also, in the news today, a man who declares that the pot was not his, that's not his drug of choice. So, we'll talk about that a little bit. And in Colorado, they're doing a whole lot of the, enough of that. In Colorado, they're doing health inspections on these dispensaries and the medibles that they're putting out there. And a lot of these guys aren't passing the test and having to have their product, thousands of dollars worth of their product, just destroyed, and that's just a shame. So we'll get to all those stories. Plus, we'll take your calls here at 971-533-7111. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about the future. That's right. We've got all sorts of great events happening in the cannabis community. And today, I can't believe it's the last day of April, which means tomorrow, May 1st, we begin that big 4-month season of cannabis activism. If you're involved in the marijuana movement, you understand that once May hits, things start rolling pretty quick. And we're starting off with May 3rd, this Saturday, is the Global Cannabis March. Now, if you want to know why and how I am sitting here now between your ears talking about marijuana every day, it's because I got off my ass and went to the Global Cannabis March on May 7th, 2005. And from there, I met the leaders of Oregon Normal. And from there, I volunteered for Oregon Normal. And from there, I volunteered for their TV show. And from there, I met National Normal figures. And from there, I got a job with National Normal. And I started doing a podcast for them. And from there, I built a live network and a live show for National Normal. And then from there, I took it independent and made 420radio.org. And from there, I'm here. So it can all start. Your entire activist career, if you want to call it that, if you want to make it that, starts by getting off your ass and acting. That's the first three letters of activist. A-C-T. Act. The people you'll meet, and this is the thing, I do a lot of these events. I do the Cannabis Cups, I do the Hemp Fests, I do the conferences. And while what you'll experience from the vendors at a Hemp Fest or the speakers or the vendors at a cup or the speakers at a Hemp Fest or the panels you'll see at a conference, while all of that is invaluable, it's great stuff, the number one thing that you get when you go to one of these places is allies. You get friends, you get networking, you get more powerful than you could possibly be by yourself. You find other like-minded people openly celebrating our cannabis freedom, our hemp heritage, our marijuana movement. And that is so empowering. Boy, when you come to the Portland March, and if you're going to come, it's at Pioneer Courthouse Square. You want to get there at 11 a.m. We leave at noon. If you get there at noon 01, we will be gone. We leave at noon, and people gather, and a whole bunch of people will bring signs. You don't have to even bring a sign. There'll be plenty of signs. You can carry a sign. You can make your own sign. All we ask is no drugs, no dogs, no alcohol. No drugs, no dogs. I don't want to walk in dog poop. No alcohol. Okay. We meet at the square. We march. It's about a 30-block march around downtown Portland. We march by the Cinco de Mayo festival. We march by a lot of the downtown offices. We get all sorts of shouts and thumbs up from people as we do it. And then we gather back at Pioneer Courthouse Square for some speeches, for a little bit of 420 First Amendment style. So check it out. I'll be there. Herb Thrasher will be there. Madeline Martinez, Paul Stanford, so many of the luminaries in the Portland marijuana movement. Check out listings online. Google Global Cannabis March for where it's happening near you.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
I'm Radical Russ Belville, and I want to thank you for listening to 420 Radio. We couldn't survive without you and our sponsors, and I'd like you to check out one of our prime sponsors, the National Cannabis Coalition. I've been working with NCC since June of 2012, and I'm proud to be part of the team they have assembled. National Cannabis Coalition is building the partnerships with reformers, lawmakers, and industry we need to be successful. Visit the National Cannabis Coalition website at nationalcannabiscoalition.com or the easier-to-remember ncc420.com. That's where you'll get the exclusive first look at my radical rants, as well as informative articles from the nation's top cannabis pundits. Visit ncc420.com today, and if you have your phone handy, text Russ to 420-420 to support NCC and 420 Radio. It's a free text message that helps us help you end adult marijuana prohibition. Learn more at ncc420.com, and thanks for supporting independent marijuana legalization public radio. You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420tunein or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on 420radio.org. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the best way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com.
10 after the hour here. We're live from Rolla J Studios in beautiful Portland, Oregon, where tonight we're preparing for a closeout game. Portland Trailblazers lead 3-1 in their best-of-7 playoff series with the Houston Rockets. They're in Houston tonight to try to close it out. Portland's already won 2 games in Houston in this series. If this is the third one, they will move on to the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2000, the longest current playoff drought in the NBA. That's right, the Milwaukee Bucks have gone to the second round of the playoffs since before the Portland has. Oh my God. So, we'll be watching that tonight. We're going to have ourselves a good time. Got some dabs, got some Ganja John dabs. Our good friend Ganja John LLC. Love his new card. Just says John Hamm Oil Baron. So, in fact, there's one of those little codes there, QR codes, if you want to scan that, if you're watching on the video. You scan that little thing and you can visit with Ganja John. We might have him adding some more segments here to 420 Radio in the future. Got all sorts of changes coming up for 420 Radio in the future. Some of them may be massive changes. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the schedule coming up. We already mentioned the Global Cannabis March this Saturday in a city near you. There's 300 cities around the country, around the world, I should say, that are doing this. And I think I'm going to look cures-not-wars.org usually has the information. And we will see on the old internet machine, see event, cannabisparade.org. Let's see how that's turning out. Looks like things have been... That's the New York City Cannabis Parade. Let's do a Google on Global Cannabis March here. Let's see what we can find out. Oh, it now has globalcannabismarch.com. So there you go. Go to globalcannabismarch.com. And I love they're using the March for Peace and the War on Cannabis graphic that David Bram designed for Oregon Normal. I think that was for our 2007 March. It's wonderful, man. I see so many graphics that we made back in the day that people are still using, and that's great. The March for Peace and the War on Cannabis. There is a cities link at the top, broken down into Asia, Europe, Great Britain, North America, Central America. Wherever you're at, there is a march for you, so check it out. All right, so in other forthcoming events, the 9th and 10th, next weekend, here in Portland, is the Patients Out of Time Conference. And we may or may not get press credentials to go cover that. We shall see how that turns out. The following weekend, May 17th, in fact, beginning May 13th, I will be taking another trip to Florida. That's right, Radical Russ in Florida. I'll be there May 13th in Fort Lauderdale. I'll be in southern Florida. I'll be in Miami for most of the time. So it's May 13th through the 21st. And I may be looking to put together some social events while I'm down there in Florida. If we've got any fans in the South Florida area that want to meet and greet, we could get together and do that. But I will be there in Florida. Mostly for the marijuana conference, the Florida Marijuana Conference that is taking place on May 17th. Bobby Platshorn's putting it together. There's going to be people from National Cannabis Industries Association, Mike Booten from National Cannabis Nation Radio and formerly Discovery's Channel's Weed Wars. He will be there. Irv Rosenfeld, one of the 4 remaining federal medical marijuana patients, will be there. So much networking and information. The last one they did sold out, so make sure you get your tickets today. You can go to floridamarijuanaconference.org for more information. All right, let's go to our phone lines here. We got a call coming in from the 306 area code. You're on the air with Toker Talk Radio.
Hey, Russ. It's John.
Hey, what's up?
Not a lot. Just wondering if I should take this bong rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thought I'd smoke with you guys.
Oh, do it. Let's hear it. Can you get close to the phone? There we go.
Right on.
Anything else?
I don't know. Thanks for doing the show, Russ.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for the bong hit. Thanks for sharing. That's one of our Canadian friends out there sharing a bong hit for us. And also want to encourage you to check out the rest of the shows on 420 Radio. You can visit 420radio.org/shows, and you can find out our entire lineup. Now, like I said, the Florida Marijuana Conference is May 17th. So if you're interested in meeting out in Florida, I'll be in Fort Lauderdale for the 17th. The rest of the time, from the 13th through the 20th, I'll be in South Florida in Miami Springs to be accurate. And we will find something to do. We'll bring you live shows for sure from Florida. So check that out, coming out May 13th through the 20th. Then May 31st, actually May 29th through the 31st, end of next month, is the Normal Aspen Legal Seminar. And I'm going to try to make my way up there to Aspen once again, where we cover some of the finest legal minds in marijuana reform, and a visit to Hunter S. Thompson's house, the Owl Farm, legendary Owl Farm, courtesy of his widow, Anita Thompson. So that'll be the end of May. And then the weekend after that, June 6th and 7th, the Texas Regional Normal Conference. From DFW Normal, I'll be in the Dallas, Texas area the beginning of June. That's the 6th, 7th, and 8th of June. And then I believe the next weekend, the 13th and 14th, if I'm not mistaken, and I will check the web here to be sure, I believe is the Cannabis Cup in Richmond, California. That would be the, let's see, June. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That doesn't happen until the end of June, June 28th and 29th. So it looks like we'll have some time off there in the middle of June. Yeah, 28th and 29th. So that's our early summer look at the 420radio.org schedule. Okay, that sound means I've been pulling my hair out because I've been looking through the news, and I found a story that just makes me gasp. This one's short, though. From theadvocate.com, police, man says pot found is not his, declares his drug of choice is crack. This is kind of sad, actually. A 64-year-old Morgan City man suspected of dealing drugs denied the marijuana-filled plastic bag found in his home was his, telling officers that pot was not his drug of choice, officials said. The man denied knowledge of the substance, marijuana, saying that he was a crack cocaine user only, the police said. Okay. I guess we would call that the Rob Ford defense, right? Officers, that weed can't be mine. I only smoke crack. Don't you know? Pee Wee Herman said, don't do crack. Crack is whack. Remember Whitney Houston? Crack is whack. That's I got to be one of my favorite, just one of my favorite stories there. Folks, let me reiterate something I learned in Utah. Don't talk to cops. Don't answer cops' questions. Don't. Just don't. Don't even talk to them. And it's one of the hardest things in the world because they're a person in authority. You're in a situation where you're feeling vulnerable, and social norms dictate that you talk to people when they talk to you. You have to go against like all your social training and all your politeness to just shut up. When they get to your house and they find a marijuana-filled plastic bag and they say, "Is this your marijuana-filled plastic bag?" You say, "I'm not going to answer any more questions without a lawyer present." And they say, "Well, what about this and this?" "I'm not going to answer any more questions without a lawyer present." "Well, if you just tell us, where the rest of the drugs are," it'll go, "I'm not going to consent to any searches." "Well, if we find this and that, we won't be able to do anything for," "I'm not going to talk to you anymore without a lawyer present." You have to learn, and I have to learn because I didn't do it enough, that you can't talk to cops. All a cop is a person with a gun whose job is to collect evidence necessary to arrest you and put you in a cage. Don't help them. Hey, it's 20 after the hour. It's 4:20. We got to take our mandatory union-required safety meeting break. Left Wing Larry has made his way down into the studio. We'll come back and have some chat time. But for now, happy 420.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Cannabis Outreach Collective is an alternative health and wellness option located in Gladstone, Oregon, that serves patients in the Portland area and beyond. We are a full-service alternative health and wellness collective accommodating patients with natural, organic, holistic, and homeopathic remedies, nutritional guidance, advice, education, and medical cannabis, fully in accordance with Oregon OMMP law. You can find out more about Cannabis Outreach Collective on Facebook at COC503 or by emailing cannabisoutreachcollective503@gmail.com or by telephone at 503-853-1319. Check out our menu on Weed Maps and visit Cannabis Outreach Collective today. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant, high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let him bring in the beat.
Funky, licious.
Oh yeah, that's right. Groovin', keeping it mellow here at the Funky Roller Ring. So join me, Big Daddy, every Thursday night. The doors open at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Groove on. Groove on.
Whoa, yeah. Whoa, all right.
Welcome back, everybody. 23 and a half after the hour. That's music from Cass Haley. Here I Come. Here on 420radio.org, and we've got all sorts of music in our library. Check us out in our daily Toker Tunes segments that take place at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. 1 hour of randomly generated music from specific genres. On Monday, it's roots music, blues, jazz, country, and folk. On Tuesday, electric dance music. On Wednesdays, Irie and world music. Thursdays, rap, R&B, soul, funk, and hip-hop. And on Fridays, rock and metal. So every day something different here on 420radio.org. We got Left Wing Larry in the studio. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing just fine. Been working in the garden all day today, and well, between the yard and the garden, I've been got the front yard mowed finally, and the plants are looking magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I just last night I planted, or I didn't plant, I put some new seed to soak. And I wanted to bring some good seed back from Colorado, but I didn't dare.
Yeah, not after our weekend.
Not after what happened. So what I've put to soak here are some seeds that I have no idea what they are.
All right.
But I know they're pot.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they turn out to be. Now, we had started with, like, what was it, like I don't know, 12 or so, and we had 3
Yeah, we
that
started
came out.
off with 12. I kept trying to kill one, and it's still at about a 8-inch tall.
Okay.
Because I just beat the hell out of it.
Yeah.
The other, I wound up with 3 female, and I'll bring some pictures down tomorrow, and we can show them on tomorrow's show. They are really budding up nice now that we got the Lush LED.
That's what I was going to say. We've been putting these in flower under Lush LED lightings, 3 plants, and they're doing just fine.
Oh, they're doing better than fine. I mean, they're really looking good. They're just full of buds.
Yeah.
And so I decided we've got the vegetator, the small one, up in the upstairs closet. So I thought, well, I'm going to get some more started here, and we'll see what happens starting from seed this time instead of, going through the vegetating stage with the T5s and the 400 watt.
So we'll take it from beginning to end with
We're
LEDs.
starting from beginning to end with Lush LED on this one.
Fantastic. And, we're using these LEDs in a situation where we're not trying to build a cannabis warehouse.
No.
This is just personal grow. This is literally the definition of personal grow. And as what I've seen so far, they seem to be working great.
They're fantastic.
We'll take a look outside. Now, we got better security.
Definitely got better security. I got locks on all doors. Plus, my dog, I think possibly last year she wasn't feeling too good. She seems to be feeling fine now that I got that bladder infection cleared up.
Yeah, and that's something, if you follow the show, you know that Larry's got a big old German Shepherd named Katie, and 4 or 5 weeks ago, she was got all infected and had her leg was swollen up.
Over a week's period, she went from chasing her tail, playing ball, and all that to where she just couldn't hardly move.
Yeah, it was like death's door. It was
she
bad.
was right at death's door, and hear her up there now. She's guarding the house now.
Yeah, that's right. And so we got her, the veterinary antibiotics, but also helped treat her with a little bit of cannabis oil for pain.
I've been using the tincture on her, and it's really funny. I pull out the tincture and I squirt it, and I get the dropper ready, and she comes up and just opens her mouth up and
yeah.
I got to shove the pills down her throat, but she comes up and she's ready for it.
It's like a glycerin tincture, kind of sweet.
Yeah, tasting. It's a glycerin tincture.
There's so many people that are doing that now that are helping their animals, especially Katie's an older German Shepherd. They always have hip dysplasia and weird joint problems and stuff. So I can't imagine.
Her hips are in fine shape, though.
Hips are good.
I had her X-rayed at 3 years of age, and she was OFA normal because I was contemplating at that time breeding her.
Right.
She's out of awful good stock, really good stock, and but she grew 2 to 3 inches above normal, which seems to happen to me an awful lot. I don't know why I grow such big damn dogs. I had the same thing with cats.
Yeah.
They always grew big on me.
It's obviously something you did.
I don't know.
You're picking
maybe
I
feed them just a little too well.
Or maybe you're picking just the best genetic stock and you're just getting the best critters. You maybe get an eye for it.
Well, the breeders will tell you too good an eye then because they're always too big.
Too big, there you go.
I mean, I never wind up with any that's undersized. It's always oversized.
Well, as far as keeping our garden safe, I'll take oversized.
Yeah, definitely. And, of course, I've got everything inside now. This next batch, I'll probably be putting some outside, and we're going to have to come up with some camera security for that, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
At least some lights that will flash on that looks like there's cameras out there, and then they'll take off, especially if they're kids.
You know the system that I would like to get, and I saw this at one of the events I did, is this thing called flash fog. And it's like a rock, fog machine, right? Except it's industrial strength, and it comes also with strobe lights, and an alarm system that wires into like your local police or whatever to call them, right? And what happens is when the alarm is tripped, it starts beaming the strobe light and making a loud alarm noise and fills the room with fog. Like when I was doing the test, I could not see my hand a foot away from my face. There was so much fog. And it doesn't damage plants, doesn't damage equipment in any way, but it makes it impossible to see or do anything, and it scares the hell out of them when they're breaking in.
That's the main thing is that surprise. If you got the lights coming on, fog or something like that, dog barking. They did a survey one time with burglars in prison, and they said, "What's the best burglar alarm?" And they said, "A dog, any kind of dog. They don't care. Just a little yapper, one like Roscoe is plenty good enough to."
Yep.
They don't want to mess with a dog because they make too much noise.
Yeah.
So it's the best security is a dog.
Yeah. And then the only problem is you get your dog, and when you're raided by the cops shoot it.
Yeah, that's the fear that I've always had. But now I'm legal, so to hell with it.
And you're in Multnomah County. It's not going to happen, so we're good. We're good. We got a story of bad luck, though, that happened to a couple of fellas in Rock Hill, South Carolina, where, unfortunately, cops caught them with over a quarter pound of weed in a Scooby Doo lunchbox. Yeah, so let me give you the story here. Police say a Rock Hill man who allegedly stored 128 grams of marijuana inside a Scooby Doo lunchbox sobbed, became weak in the knees, and looked like he would faint as police found his pot, pipes, and hash on Monday. An anonymous tip that two men were using drugs behind a house. Love the anonymous tip.
Right.
Don't you love the anonymous tip?
The anonymous tip, invariably. It's a pissed off girlfriend, or a wife, or an ex-wife.
Yeah. Well, there's a crime in progress. I need to report it. All right, can we get your name? Oh, no, I can't give you my name.
No.
All right. So, this anonymous tip, they found Trenton Simmons, age 20, and Brittany Robinson, age 26. And they say they're two men, but I guess one of them's named Brittany, age 26, 50 feet away from Northside Elementary School.
Oh, no.
Oh, all right. Both men appeared nervous. Simmons, who officers say was breathing very heavy, admitted that he and Robinson had just smoked marijuana.
Get the hell away from the school.
Hey, kids. Hey, you guys, what are you up to? Nothing. We're just hanging out near an elementary school, and we just smoked some pot. Stop talking to cops. Simmons' breath smelled of pot, the report states, and he explained that he and Robinson walked... and Simmons explained that he and Robinson walked through a path behind the Kiley Court home as they left Lawrence Street, nearly a mile away. Officers found a plastic container in Simmons' left pocket that contained loose marijuana. Police then walked the path the two men told them about through the woods and found a black grocery bag. Inside was an orange Scooby Doo lunchbox wrapped in cellophane. When police asked the men who owned the Scooby box, Simmons became weak in the knees, the report states, and began crying as an officer opened the pail and found 128 grams of marijuana in a large Ziploc bag, 10 glass marijuana pipes, and 3 glass pipes with hash residue. An officer rendered aid to Simmons, who displayed signs of fainting, the report states. Simmons and Robinson denied ownership of the lunch pail and claimed police planted the drugs in the area before the two arrived in the woods. Keep talking, fellas. Both men were arrested and charged with possession of marijuana with intent to distribute and possession of marijuana within proximity to a school. So I looked it up, what the penalties are in South Carolina for such a crime. Possession of the loose marijuana, just what he had in the plastic thing in his pocket, that's a misdemeanor, 30 days, $200 fine. Possession with intent to distribute, however, is a felony, 5 years, $5,000 fine. But if you're near a school, that doubles to 10 years and a $10,000 fine. For paraphernalia, that's merely a citation, but each citation carries a $500 fine. There were 13 pieces of paraphernalia. That would be $6,500. And the hash residue in the pipes, hash is classified differently in South Carolina. It's a misdemeanor, 30 days in jail, $200 fine.
Hash is a misdemeanor?
For each count. Yeah.
For each count?
For any amount, yep. So, if we add that up, $600, $7,100, $17,100, $17,300 in fines potentially, and at least 10 years felony time. Shut up. Stop talking. When the cops find you near the school and you got weed in your pocket, you're not going to be any more busted by shutting up. You're not going to get any worse trouble by shutting up. You're not going to get yourself out of your trouble by talking. It's not going to go easier on you by talking. When the cops come up to you near the elementary school and you've got weed in your pocket and they say, hey, you look nervous, you're breathing heavy, you smell like pot, you shut up. You say, I don't really want to answer a bunch of questions without a lawyer present. Am I being officially detained or arrested? Am I free to go? I do not consent to any searches, officer. And that's all you need to be saying from that point on. At worst, these guys would have gotten the possession of loose marijuana near a school. Might have been a misdemeanor, might have got 60 days and $400 fine. As it is now, by talking, telling them about their little path through the woods, they're looking at 10-year felonies. It can't get any better by talking, folks. Shut up.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
I'm a reefer smoking man.
Wood Pipe Smoke Shop and Speakeasy is your source for cannabis community gear in southern Wisconsin. Owners Brian and Tammy Wood are located in Kendall, just outside of Madison, and they've got everything for the smoking enthusiast, including a full assortment of pipes, water pipes, hookahs, bubblers, one-hitters, and so much more. They're open noon to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and can help you with your detoxification therapies as well. Call 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com for more information. That's 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com. And as always, go pack go.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
I'll say little red carpet, darling, your mud's too fierce. Little red carpet, you need a lover that's gonna lay.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the Ustream video app for Android and iPhone. Go to rad-r.us/420Ustream or just click the Ustream app icon for Android or iPhone below the live radio feed at 420radio.org.
NORMAL stands for Responsible Adult Cannabis Use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks may be far less than those posed by legal drugs.
Welcome back, everybody. 39 and a half after the hour. Coming to you live from Rolla J Studios in beautiful Portland, Oregon. And I mean beautiful Portland, Oregon today. My God, it's like 72 out, 73, something like that. And sun is shining. It reminds me why I love this place.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous out there today.
You got to make it through the 7 months of constant gray and wet. But once you do, it's a pretty damn nice place to live.
Yeah,
just
it
perfect
is.
out. All right, so there's a story up on the Christian Post written by a Reverend Creech that I picked up on today. Not
Reverend
Cheech.
who?
Creech. Reverend Creech, not Cheech.
Oh, okay. I think I may have glanced over it. I didn't really read
Guy's
it.
name is Mark H. Creech. Reverend Mark H. Creech. And basically what's happened is he got himself a copy of Kevin Sabet's Reefer Sanity 7 Great Myths About Marijuana book. And has bought it hook, line, and sinker. And so he's written this piece called Legality of Tobacco and Alcohol is No Case for Legal Pot.
Right.
This is one of the hardest things for the prohibitionists and the rehabilitationists to have to deal with, is that cognitive dissonance of, we've got the two worst drugs in terms of health and social cost legal, but we're banning the least harmful one. That's hard for people to get past. Like, legal alcohol, legal tobacco, so why not legal weed? And this is how they try to tear it down. So I'm going to give you some of his points here and give you the debunk that you need from them. First of all, he opens up with a paragraph kind of covering Kevin Sabet's main points outside of the tobacco alcohol thing. He says, his research is comprehensive, arguing marijuana is not harmless or non-addictive. This is what we call a straw man. Nobody is saying marijuana is harmless and non-addictive. Well, nobody's serious anyway. There are harms associated with marijuana, and there's addiction potential with marijuana. But the harms and addiction potential are so much lower than alcohol and tobacco. I mean, our own National Institutes of Drug Abuse will tell you that 9% of the people who use pot have a clinical dependence upon it. But that compares to 15% of the people who use alcohol and 32% of the people who use tobacco.
Exactly.
So that's where our problem is it makes no logical sense here. We're not saying marijuana is harmless. Nothing's harmless. You can die from water. You can die from eating 10 raw potatoes. You can die from lots of things. Nothing is harmless. And certainly, something that alters one's perceptions can't be harmless. There's a potential for harm there.
Isn't it 11 aspirin, 11 5-grain aspirin is a lethal dose?
Yeah, you can.
11.
Yeah. And kids can buy that.
Oh, yeah.
In 500 count bottles.
Right.
Yeah. So the relative risk, and this is the thing, is nobody thinks, at least I don't think anybody rational thinks, that we're going to have a Nerf world where everything's padded and everything's perfectly safe. Life is all about a balance of risk versus reward, of risk versus benefit, right? We'd be the safest country if we banned cars. If there were no more cars, we would be exceptionally safe. But that's not worth the benefit of having cars. We accept that a certain number of people, tens of thousands of them, will die because of cars. But we accept that because the benefit of cars outweighs that risk. So what we're saying is if society has made a risk-benefit analysis and has found that making tobacco and alcohol is a better benefit than banning it, then that argument must apply in spades to marijuana. That's what our point is. Here's another thing he tosses off quickly. It is not medicine smoked or eaten. See, a substance, if it's smoked or eaten, can't possibly be medicine. But if you take the exact constituents that you smoked or ate and process them and put them in a pill or a spray, then it's medicine. That's like saying, well, eating an orange, that's no good for you nutritionally. You've got to concentrate it into concentrated orange juice or make a vitamin C pill to get the benefit.
If they concentrate orange from the rind, it will kill you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know
that.
It
is very toxic.
I didn't know that.
Very toxic.
There we go. I'll add that to the stump speech. Here's another point. Countless people are not behind bars simply for smoking weed. Newsflash. I didn't have weed on my person or in my bags, and I had to spend 8 hours behind bars. Well, hold on. Technically, he may be right. there were no bars where I was staying.
Right.
There were heavy steel doors and lots of plexiglass and concrete and cement, but no bars. So maybe he's right there. This is where they say, only 0.7% of state prisoners are in jail or prison for simply possessing marijuana. Well, that ignores two things. Number one, 0.7% of 1.3 million people is 9,166 people. That's a lot of people behind bars, if you ask me. And number two, simply possessing marijuana is very hard to get someone in jail for because they have so many ways where possessing marijuana becomes something bigger than just possessing marijuana. If you and a bunch of friends went in on a bag, that's not possessing marijuana, that's conspiracy. If you used a cell phone or a text message to get that bag, that's not just possessing marijuana, that's illegal use of a communications device across state lines in some cases. If you have a kid, that's not just possessing marijuana, that's possibly a child endangerment charge. If you have a gun, forget about it. That's not just Second Amendment right to own a gun. That's the use of a firearm in the commission of a drug felony. There's all sorts of ways where mere possession gets classified into the Bureau of Justice Statistics as not just mere possession. And that doesn't even include all the people who are on probation or parole for something else that they've already served prison time for, right? And they're out there and they get caught with a joint. Now they're back in jail for probation violation of robbing a liquor store or whatever the hell it was that put him in jail, not for the mere simple possession. What else does he put up here? Oh, here's a good one. Legalization will not solve the government's budgetary issues. Who said it would? Who said it would? Again, straw man. Nobody on our side is saying that legalizing marijuana solves government budget issues. What it does is bring in tax money for something that's already happening and we're bringing in zero for and spending money to try to prohibit. It kind of flips the script from saying, hey, if there's going to be a marijuana market, how about we tax it instead of letting it buy a new skateboard for a dealer or a gold-plated AK-47 for a Mexican cartel? How about we instead take some of that money and build schools? There's an idea.
Or repair our roads.
Or fix a road, pot for potholes. I like that.
Pot for potholes.
I like that. Another point he has to throw out there, other countries such as Portugal and Holland do not provide successful models for legalization. Aside from the fact they have half the marijuana use at both the teen and adult levels in Holland,
Exactly.
and Portugal has decriminalized the personal possession of all drugs and seen far fewer overdose deaths and no rise in people using.
And cut their HIV in half.
Yeah, cut their HIV infections in half.
Infections in half.
Yeah. But that's not a successful
because
model.
they use clean needles instead of rusty needles they found in a ditch.
Right. This is but that's not a successful model for us. Because, culturally, those places are different.
Right.
Which, of course, is always code word
They speak a different language.
It's always code word
they
for...
speak Portuguese.
Yeah, which is always a code word for they don't have black people.
Oh,
that's
that
really what they mean.
That's not true.
When they
I've been to Amsterdam.
Well, you know what I mean, though. As
now this is going to sound a little racist, but the only people dealing hard drugs in Amsterdam are at the train station, and they are not black people; they're Africans.
African immigrants.
Africans.
Yeah. Well, but what I mean though is when they bring up the point that, our culture is different. You can't compare Portugal or Holland to the United States. What they're really saying is they don't have black people. You know what I'm saying? All right. So anyway, let me get to the rest of it. And efforts at prevention, intervention, and treatment are not doomed to fail. Now, what they're saying here is that we could actually, if we just kept trying hard enough, stop people from smoking pot. Are you kidding me? Now, prevention, trying to prevent people from smoking pot. Intervention, if you find people that smoke pot, force them to stop. Treatment, force them to stop. Do you really think pot smoking will end? This is the biggest flaw in their argument, is they don't understand that marijuana's here. The genie's already out of the bottle. If you'd have tried this marijuana prohibition stuff in force in, 1930, 1940, and I know it was banned back then, but it wasn't really a war on drugs like Nixon ramped it up to in the 70s, then maybe you'd have had a shot. But we're talking about a weed that can grow anywhere below the Arctic Circle in any climate whatsoever, is easily concealed with indoor grows. And a population of people who either through the internet or through their own personal experience have knowledge of cannabis and understand that it's better for them than pills. It's better for them than booze. It's an easier way to relax. It's less harmful for the body, and it acts as a medicine. That genie's out of the bottle. It's never going away. There will always be people who want to smoke pot. Always. And if that's true, the law of supply and demand dictates that there will always be people growing it, trafficking it, and selling it. And if that's true, then the only choice is, who are those people? Kids, cartels, and criminals, or tax-paying, law-abiding, job-creating American businesses? That's the only question here. Now, let's get to his, well, you know what? Let's take a break. And when we come back, we will get to his thesis, the main point, which is that the legality of tobacco and alcohol is no case for legal pot. Why should we have a third legal drug? As if legalization invents marijuana. Stick around, it's Toker Talk Radio. You might learn something.
Are you or is someone you know a marijuana smoker? Have you or is someone in your family been arrested for a marijuana violation? You need to know the truth about pot. NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, is the most comprehensive source of information regarding marijuana and its effects on health, as well as legal issues. NORML even offers a database of lawyers specializing in cannabis in your area. NORML, the nation's largest and most successful marijuana law reform organization, has spent decades gathering the knowledge and science on everything related to cannabis. NORML is the best resource to find out the truth about marijuana, connect with a lawyer in your area, or help find an end to prohibition. Information is available at norml.org, that's NORML.org, or toll free at 888-67-NORML.
Fun.
Oh, hello. I'm Big Daddy, and I want you to join me at the Funky Roller Ring. We're partying hard over here, baby. So stop on by, check out the funky grooves, and shake your booty too.
Don't get in a two-seat, brother. Don't get in a two-head. Don't get so you can move about.
I love this tune. Harry Roy and his orchestra from 1931. See, these old-time songs, they had long intros. They didn't have that commercial pressure to, get right to the chorus. This is our nice little intro for our song from 1931 entitled My Girl's Pussy.
This is even before.
That I like to pet, and every evening we get set. I stroke it every chance I get. It's my girl's pussy. Seldom plays and never purrs, and I love the thoughts it stirs. But I don't mind because it's hers, my girl's pussy. Often it goes out at night, returns at break of dawn. No matter what the weather's like, it's always nice and warm. It's never dirty, always clean, in giving thrills, never mean. But it's the best I've ever seen, is my girl's pussy.
That's a happy little song.
Oh, yes.
You'll hear music like this on the new Viper Hour every Monday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, with replays throughout the week. I covered the best in reefer jazz from the early 20th century, blues, jazz, and swing music. Get a lot of World War II swing music, too. And one show I did was all about, like, double entendre. It was the double entendre show. Because there's a whole bunch of these old blues songs, like the My Man Loves My Jelly Roll, and, all these just wink, wink, nudge, nudge tunes about sex and drugs. And so I put them together in one show. And this is one of them, My Girl's Pussy. Gotta love it.
There's one pet I like to pet, and every evening we get set. I stroke it every chance I get. It's my girl's birthday. Seldom plays, never burns, and I love both its turns. But I don't mind because it's hers. It's my girl's birthday. So often he goes out at night and returns a break of dawn, break of dawn. No matter what the weather's like, it's always dry and warm. I bring tidbits that it loves. We still like to turtle doves. I take care to remove my gloves when stroking my girl's pussy.
There you go. Harry Roy and his orchestra from 1931 with that classic hit, My Girl's Pussy. There you go. All right, so cleaning up here after Reverend Creech with his thesis in the Christian Post, The Legality of Tobacco and Alcohol is no case for legal pot. He goes right in to the Sabbat conjecture. Sabbat rightly contends our history with alcohol and tobacco provide clear warnings against the legalization of marijuana. Not only are the total social costs associated with these two legal drugs roughly around $200 billion per substance, far outweighing any tax revenue collected from their use, but these licit drugs create huge corporations that have no incentive to curb use and continually seek profit at the expense of public health. There's little reason to believe legal marijuana would be any different. All right. Two problems here with your paragraph, Reverend Creech. Number one, alcohol and tobacco cost $200 billion per substance because they are, say it with me, kids, toxic and addictive. Of course, alcohol causes people to become violent and drunk and irresponsible, and tobacco causes lung cancer. I mean, yes, of course they cost more. There was a Canadian study from 2002 that showed that the cost in Canada from one tobacco user was $800 a year, from one alcohol user $165 a year, from one cannabis consumer $20 a year. I think we can come up with $20 in taxes per cannabis consumer per year. And in fact, if you're going to cling to this Sabbat conjecture that the costs of marijuana are going to be 10 times their tax revenue, then you have to explain to us where the $60 million in costs from Colorado legalization are, since they've raised $6 million in tax revenue. You can't. It's not there. There's nothing to show. And as far as a big marijuana that seeks to profit at the expense of public health, we already have it. We just call it the Gulf, Juarez, and Sinaloa cartels. And they have every incentive in the world to sell to kids, to use kids as their mules and their sellers, and to institute underground locations, underground cells in over 300 American cities now. They control the drug markets in all the major and even minor American cities like Peoria, Illinois, or Pocatello, Idaho. So I think most of us are a little less afraid of a big marijuana that pays taxes, employs Americans, revitalizes the economy, follows rules, has licensing, has to only hire adults, has to keep their product in adults-only stores, has to package them in opaque childproof containers, and is forced to identify their customers to ensure that they're of legal age, is a much better prospect than the cartels that don't card kids, that solve their problems by beheading their enemies and throwing their bodies in the rush hour traffic in Monterrey, Mexico. Big marijuana's already here, and there's no reason why we have to ignore the lessons of 60 years of big alcohol and big tobacco and not start the marijuana industry with a little more restriction. There's no reason we have to relive Joe Camel and the Budweiser frogs. In fact, we aren't. The marijuana industry is starting off with more advertising restrictions than any industry should have to put up with. Can you imagine going to buy roses and not being able to smell them or see them? That's what's being expected for marijuana consumers, to have to buy their product, a flower, sight unseen from an opaque childproof container. And we're cool with it because we want to be legal. That's all the time we got. Thanks for joining us. I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.